Dr. S. G. V. Subramaniam is currently working as professor in the Environmental Studies Department of Anna University, Chennai. He has done 8 master's degree including MBA, 6 postgraduate diplomas, a degree in law and Doctor of Philosophy in the field of environmental management and environmental law. He has done his postdoctoral work in France under the Indo-French Cultural Exchange Fellowship and at Germany under the DAD Fellowship. He has been awarded UN Fellowship and done Diploma in International Lawmaking and Diplomacy from the University of Joensuu, Finland. He is involved in several environmental impact assessment related consultancy works. He has guided several students for their master's degree program project works. To his credit, nearly 77 papers have been published and presented in various national and international conferences. He has been nominated by His Excellency Governor of Tamil Nadu as Senate member for 2 terms to the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University. He has been nominated as expert member for the State Environmental Appraisal Committee for 2 terms by the Government of India. He has served as member board of studies in the Legal Studies Department of University of Madras. Right now, he has been nominated as member board of studies in the field of environmental studies in the Thiruvalluvar University. He has written several chapters in the leading books in the field of environmental law.
Welcome to the UGC lecture series on environmental science. Today we are going to continue the environmental education and public participation for the sustainable development or for the sustainable cities. Today we will be seeing the part 3. The contents which we are going to discuss today: number 1, strategies for the sustainable cities; number 2, clean city. What are the various requirements for a clean city? Third one, an action plan for a clean city. The fourth one, the role of NGO. NGO is nothing but non-governmental organization. Teachers, students and the corporates, politicians. Then finally, we will see what is a preventive environmental management. Now, these things requires 3 major important things. Number 1, we have to produce differently, consuming differently, organizing differently. All these things require the thinking is also a differently. Now, the thinking differently, I mean that everyone cannot think alike. One may think that environment is most important. Another one may think that development is most important. But again, we need the environment, we need the development. For that reason only, what proportion we have to blend the environment and the development, here only the question arises. Now, when we wanted to blend it means at the time only the question of sustainable development comes. Now, you see on one side, one lady wanted to have that I wanted to dress in the nicest cloth, drive a great car, talk of the latest mobile phone and watch my brand new DVD. This is her requirement. That another person's requirement or another person is thinking in the divergently opposite way. I would like to end poverty, I would like to stop violence, then racism and get rid of pollution. Everyone should be equal. That is, she is of thinking more on the welfare side of the society. She is thinking more of individualistic in nature. She wants to enjoy the comforts. Now, this is where the dispute comes. This is where the thinking of different comes, means automatically which requirement have to be fulfilled on these 2 people. Now, means that based on the nature's grand designs we need. The first one, to develop and enforce new values such as self-restriction, modesty, responsibility and honesty. This is what I would like to state, that whatever the quantum of that we say, unless otherwise we include that self-restriction, modesty and our own responsibility are self-inculcated discipline. Or otherwise, I don't advocate the enforced discipline, a discipline of military in nature that may be giving an immediate effect, but it will not last long. In that case, your regimental discipline must lead to self-discipline. This is what I would like to stress at this juncture. For that, I have put the self-inculcated responsibility, self-inculcated restriction, what to do and what not to do, what activities will be affecting that environment. We should not indulge in these activities. Like that, we should impose our own self-restriction. Then honesty. And I have already told you that in order to control the pollution, we need the 3 T's. Or that in order to have a good environment, we need 3 P's. The first one, political will. The second one, public participation. The third most important is the professional ethics. This is where we have to follow the ethics, that professionalism have to be maintained along with the ethics. What is after all the ethics? The self-inculcated discipline as per the society of that nature. This is where the honesty, responsibility, modesty, all these things. When you wanted to develop all these things, we have to inculcate the environmental education. To formulate aims such as peace, freedom, dignity, justice and human rights. Now, all these things, it is very much enshrined in our Indian Constitution and it is very much enshrined in the human rights, that is the Convention on the Human Rights. It is very much enlightened. Now, the third one, the further details such as the virtue, altruism and the love. These are all the ethical point of view. Now, the next one, this must be enabled by. Now, we have theoretically said that these are all the important virtues and wisdom which have to be imparted to the, not only to the students, or for the purpose of bringing any responsible citizens of the country, we have to inculcate all these things. But how to do it? That is the question mark. A political system has to be in such a way that includes citizens' participation in decision making. This is what just I told you a few minutes back. When you wanted to have a clean and healthy environment, or when you wanted to have a project, a successful one, I told you the 3 P's. The second P, which is more important, is the public participation. When the public are given the due importance, when they have the sense of participation in that, then they will have a commitment. When they have a commitment, they will not indulge in any activity that will be causing hurt to the environment, and they will not be allowing others also to create any damage to the environment. In fact, I can say, unless otherwise the public participation is effective, you cannot have a successful democracy. If you wanted to have the democracy to be a successful one, there should be a public participation, which is the prime important one. In fact, in order to create a more public participation, for that right only, we are having a Right to Information Act also has been enacted in the Indian Parliament few years back. The next one, that economic system that encourages conserving and enhancing the natural resources. Why I have put that economic system? Again, when you go on talk about that environment means, then people may not have that much realizing the importance of that. For example, anything and everything a little bit prized one, then only the people will have some importance in buying that, and in some importance of protecting that, and in using that particular goods in an economic way for that matter. Now, I don't advocate that every product must have an economic value. But on the other hand, that integrating a little bit economic value over that particular product, then the use of the particular product can be little more regulated. Now, our economic system that encourages the conserving, then you can view it in the other way also. For example, an industry is there. Now, the pollution control rules are saying that you should have the letting out that effluent must have the 30 BOD. Now, as a responsible citizen, as a responsible industrialist, I am taking all the measures to reduce the pollution less than 30 BOD means, then I must be rewarded economically for having reduced the BOD at least a 10. This is where that economic system that encourages conserving and enhancing. Then second example I can say, for example, you are installing certain plants whereby your pollutants, letting out of the pollutants, their quantity can be reduced and the quality can be improved means you can be given some sort of a concession by way of in your excise duty or importing that particular equipment and instruments from the foreign countries by way of reducing your customs duty or writing off that customs duty or giving certain preference in your income tax filing also. This is what that economic system must be integrated. But little bit unfortunately I can say that in our country the present legal regime is more of in the command and control rather than economic things have been integrated. It is more under command and control. Command and control in the sense means it is more of a criminal orientation is there. Criminal orientation in the sense if you do this one, you will, if you don't do this one, or the commissions and omissions, what you are expected to do if you are not carrying out, what you are expected not to do if you do the thing, this is what that punishment you have to face it. Like that, it is more under command and control. There is not much of scope in our present system integrating the economic regime into our enforceable regime. Now, your system have to be created in such a way that economic system must encourage conserving, enhancing in protecting our natural resources. This is the point I would like to stress and this is the point I would like to enlighten to you. The third one, a social system that is equitable. The social system that is equitable means there must be a equality principle must be adopted. For example, India is a federal country. Suppose a particular natural resources is very much available at one part of the country means the particular state it is more available means that must be shared in such a way the benefit of that particular natural resources must be enjoyed by every citizen. That is where the social equity and equality principle have to be adopted. In other ways, that is each for all and all for each. This is what that is being stressed in the socialistic philosophy. Then the next one, it can be enabled further by a production system that preserves the earth ecological balance. Here I wanted to say the production system. Previously, we used to go more for the end pipe treatment. Now, these days are little by little it gets vanished and now there is a change in our approach. The change in the approach means we are now going for the best available technology. What is after all the best available technology? You have to integrate your process system in such a way that the waste is very much reduced or minimized and whatever the waste you are getting it, that has to be recycled and reused for that matter. So, your production system must integrate in such a way that your waste minimization is your ultimate end and it is not the end pipe treatment. This is where you have to go for the best available technology. Right. The next one, the technological system that is oriented to solve the real needs. This is where you will be having and science principles will be there, then the engineering approach will be there. It must be blended properly so that the science and engineering blended, you have to develop a technical and a technological system that is solve the real needs. It must be more on the practical. It must be more on the application side, and it must be more on the pragmatic. It should not be on the utopian one, or which is more on the theoretical one. You have to develop the scientific principles blended with the engineering one, develop the technology. That technology must solve your problem. You should have more on the field orientation, more practical approach, more pragmatic way of thinking, or the pragmatic approach. This is what I would like to stress here, the technological system. The next point I would like to state, the administrative system. That is a self-correcting one. What is administrative system? For example, if I wanted to get that environmental clearance from the Pollution Control Board or from the Ministry of Environment, means there must be a single window system, or it should not be a very circuitous one. You should not be asked, go to this place, that place, you submit this one, that one, like that. It should not be a very circuitous procedure. On the other hand, you should be providing to the entrepreneurs, these are all the do's, these are all the don'ts, this is the checklist. So accordingly, you submit that application form, accordingly you fulfilled the requirements of the administrative system, so that you can get your clearance at the earliest date, and there must be a single window system, and it should not be a very cumbersome and complicated procedure. This is what I would like to state. Your administration system must be more of entrepreneur friendly and the user friendly, not much of a complicated one. The next one, an international system that fosters the patterns of trade that is equitable. Now, this international system, now previously the environment was viewed in a local sense. Now the days have gone, we have to have an international look and a global look for that matter. How it is a global one? Now in the last 15 years, we have got that GATT. What is a GATT? General Agreement, Trade and Tariff. What is WTO? World Trade Organization. Now, India is a partner for the WTO. India is a signatory for the WTO. Now, I can tell you one more thing. Even the China, the communist country, has become the partner for the WTO or the signatory for the WTO. This is the present situation, because you have to sail along with the international community. What is the WTO states? A country which produces the product, if it can sell in anywhere in the world, provided it has got what is that as per the specification of that importing country. Now there is no global restriction, unless otherwise an embargo is made. Otherwise you are having a free trade. When the free trade comes, means you have to see not only the trade aspect but on the environmental aspects also. For that reason, I would like to quote, you can have several international treaties, several international agreements, several international covenants and several international declarations are there with reference to environment. To quote a few, take for example, in the 1972 you are having the Stockholm Declaration. This is under the United Nations umbrella. After that, 1982, you are having the Nairobi Declaration. Again, this is of United Nations umbrella. The third one, 1992, the Rio Declaration. This is also again under the United Nations umbrella. More than 155 countries have signatory for that. Even though it is happened to be the soft law, again, most of the countries are fulfilling whatever that beings did in the declaration. Apart from that, there are several conventions are there. To quote a few, in order to protect the wetlands, you are having the Ramsar Convention. In order to have a hazardous waste transport, for that you are having the Basel Convention. To regulate the hazardous waste transport, we are having the Basel Convention. Then similarly, you have got the Climate Change Convention. Then subsequent to the conventions, we are having the several protocols. To quote one or two few protocols, I would say the most important is the Kyoto Protocol. The next one is the Delhi Protocol. After that, we have got the Copenhagen Agreement. So, like that, we are having the series of things. Now, when you see the series of things, you are viewing the environment not in the local form or not in a country form. You are viewing the environment in the global way, in the international way. Now, I can say that WTO has gone to that level that protecting, that is, think globally and act locally. This is what has become the slogan of that one also. To quote that, I can say that international system, for example, A country is manufacturing a particular product. Now the B country wanted to import that product. Now, if the previously the product specification was there, now the days have gone, even the process specification has come. Now one of the clause which is available in the WTO clearly states, if the manufacturing process of the particular product is not environmentally friendly as per the laws of the B country, the B country can impose a ban on importing that particular product from the A country. You see that A is a sovereign country, B is a sovereign country, and A is exporting a particular product to the B. Now, you are saying that if the manufacturing process of the particular product which is being manufactured in the A country is not friendly, environmental friendly, again the question mark comes, what is environmental friendly and what is not environmental friendly? Again this question mark comes. Now as per the laws, both of them are the sovereign countries. Now you are applying an environmental law of the B country for the manufacturing process of that particular product in the A country. If it is not environmentally friendly as per the laws of the B country, you can impose a ban of importing that particular product from the A country. You see the intricacies of the present situation. Now it is viewed in the international level and it is viewed in the global level, and I can say that the sovereignty is slowly losing, and as far as the environment is concerned, there are two laws in the world that is losing the sovereignty. One is the environmental law, another one is the cyber law. So now I can go very deep, but the question mark, because of the paucity of the time, I just wanted to stress only the comprehensive and a broad picture to you. Now the international system must be in such a way that fosters the passion of the trade that is equitable. I have told you about the GATT. I have told you about the WTO. I said the most important class with reference to the environment. Now you could be able to realize the importance of environment with reference to the trade. Now it can be used, this particular class can be used as a potential weapon in the hands of the developed country also. Because there is a proverb, law can be used as a sword as well as a shield. In that case, what is presently used as a shield, it can be used as a sword. How it can be used as a sword? Suppose the B country wanted to, the developed country wanted to curtail the development of a developing country, they can very well say that your manufacturing process is not environmentally friendly as per the laws of our country. So hereinafter we will not be importing your product from your country. If they say like that, what will happen? The A country, the B country will not get affected. Only the A country will get affected. From this, what the point I would like to state or the stress here is, your international system has gone and viewing the environment in the global way. You cannot claim the sovereignty for the environment. This is my house. This is my environment. I can use it in any way for that matter. So this is what that I would like to state, the international system that fosters the patterns of trade that is equitable. I told you it can be used as a sword as well as a shield, how that environment is viewed globally. The next one, guided principles. First one, polluter pays, precautionary principle, life cycle thinking, common but differentiated responsibilities, pollution prevention, continuous improvement, the transparency. Let us see the first one. What is a polluter pays? And this is one of the offshoot of the sustainable development concept. I have already enlightened you that the sustainable development was very much enshrined in the World Charter for the Nature and in the Rio Declaration, and this principle has been incorporated into our Indian environmental jurisprudence through one of the case law, through one of the landmark judgment, namely the Vellore Citizens Welfare Forum case in the year 1996 by the Honorable Judge Justice Kuldeep Singh. Now, one of the offshoot of the sustainable development is the polluter pays principle. The polluter pays principle states that whomsoever who has polluted, now he has to pay whatever the damage he has made to the environment in order to get it back, or in order to retrieve back the environment to its original condition. Now, here the point of what I wanted to state here is, don't think there is a license is being given for the pollution. For example, I am paying for that, so I am getting the license to pollute, or I am getting the right to pollute. You should not be viewing in that angle. You have to incorporate all the best available technology, what is available today. In spite of that, you have made the pollution. Then tomorrow some new technology has developed, thereby you can reduce the pollution. In that case, whatever the damage which you have created today, then tomorrow if somebody has found it out, tomorrow it has been found out means, then in order to retrieve back that one, you have to pay for that. Or it can be viewed in the other way, that the government is getting one more right to impose certain taxes also. For example, in India, they have put the green tax. For example, a vehicle which is a 5-year-old, then it will be causing a less pollution. If a vehicle is a 10-year-old, it will be causing a more air pollution, because the engine has got a wear and tear. Now, you can put a more tax because you are polluting more atmosphere, so you have to pay for that. Now, this is what the principle, the first one is the polluter pays principle. But mind you, you are not getting any right, or you are not getting any license to pollute. It is the other way you have to view the polluter pays principle. Then the next principle, one of the offshoot of that sustainable development is the precaution or the precautionary principle. This precautionary principle important. Why means? Because now if you just view our environmental laws, it is more of the criminal orientation. What is after all a criminal orientation? If A is there, B is there, B is saying that A has beaten me means the B is becoming the prosecutor and A is becoming the defense, then it is the duty of the B to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that A has committed that particular offense. Similarly, if you could be able to view our pollution control laws means, you can able to say this is the industry, this is the pollution control board. If the pollution control board says that you have polluted this environment means, now the pollution control board is becoming the prosecutor and the industry has becoming the defense. If the laws are more criminal oriented means, then the B has to prove, namely the pollution control board has to prove that the particular industry has polluted beyond all reasonable doubt. It is oneness on the part of the prosecution to prove beyond all reasonable doubt. This is one of the basic principle of the criminal jurisprudence. Now, the question mark comes. There are certain things which can be proved. There are certain things which cannot be proved, forever, and which cannot be proved at this juncture also. To quote one example, for example, at a particular place you are starting an industry and you are going to completely remove the forest of that particular area. There may be certain species which you will be likely to remove. Now, somebody is saying these plants are very important. Now, the industry fellow will be saying it on what basis they are saying these particular plants are important. Now, the question mark comes. Today, that particular plant will not be having any value. Tomorrow, from the very same plant, you can able to get some medicinal value for that matter. Then in that case, if you have completely removed the plant means you cannot retrieve back for that. Similarly, if an industry is letting out certain chemicals, that chemical may be causing a lot of damage to the human health. Today, you cannot be able to find it out. It may have a long-term effect. At that case, if the industry says you are becoming the prosecutor, you prove beyond all reasonable doubt. Since you are unable to prove it, I am proceeding it as per the criminal law means, then whatever the damage you have created, you cannot retrieve it back. For that reason only, our Honorable Supreme Court has integrated one more principle as an offshoot of the sustainable development, namely the precautionary principle in the case law, namely the Shriram gas leakage. What is that precautionary principle? If there is a lack of scientific evidence at this juncture, you don't take the decision on the other side, take the decision which is more towards the environment. Because just because you are unable to prove at this juncture, don't take a decision that will be causing a damage to the environment or likely to cause the damage. Take it for granted that it will be causing the damage. As a precaution, you stop that particular one. So this is what being enlightened as a precautionary principle, and this is one of the principles who have to be guided for our sustainable cities or for that matter sustainable development also. The next one, life cycle thinking. Life cycle thinking is nothing but that from the raw materials to the product or even after the due usal of the product, how that waste is going to be disposed of in an environmentally friendly manner or without causing any damage to the environment, or if at all it is causing the minimum damage to the environment. So you have to work it out a life cycle assessment. This is what cradle to graveyard approach you have to do it. Then in the cradle to graveyard approach, you will be having it from the beginning, from the acquiring of the raw materials, what effect it creates on the environment, to after the due usal of the product, the waste disposal. You have to have a complete life cycle thinking. This must be one of the guided principle for the sustainable cities as well as for the sustainable development. So let us see the summary of the substance what we have discussed. In this episode, we discussed the various requirements of sustainable city, then how to balance the conflict in the sense between the development and environment, and what are the various guiding principles in order to have a sustainable development, of course, for the sustainable city. Now, I would like to put forth the questions to you. First question, write the various requirements of a sustainable city. How can you balance the conflict? Write the various principles of the guidance. That is, the various principles of the guidance with reference to the sustainable development, of course, for the sustainable city. With this, we have come to the end of this episode. Now, in our next session, we will discuss in detail the role of the various stakeholders. Okay. Thank you very much.